Good morning guys, and welcome to this edition of Hikelopedia. As you can see, I'm at the Ci'en Tunnel. Because we are near Ci'en, we're at Dayuling, which is the trailhead for the Bilu-Yangtou Zonzo, the Bilu-Yangtou Traverse, which is 2 Baiyu. Now Andrew has gotten fed up of me dragging him up small mountains. So this time, I'm dragging him up a big mountain. We just arrived at the trailhead and we're just about to set off on the Bilu-Yangtou Traverse. So let's go. We've reached the halfway point of the forest road at around 4.2k, so time for a little snack, replenish the energy. It's just shy of the 5k mark, isn't it? Takes the things to come that way. Yeah. Okay, we made it to 8.4k mark of the forest road, and now we have to go up there. But the downside is we have to carry all our water for today and tomorrow with us, which we just got from here. So we've done about 20-25 minutes of the ascent, and it's damn steep. We're going up there, and if you look down there you can see Andrew. It's been like this the whole way so far. This climb is so tough. About 90 minutes in and we're halfway. It's so steep. Here at the famous or infamous 10-meter cliff. Oh. Yes. Made it up to the ridge. Gosh, that was tough work. Probably about 3.5 hours, not including rests, but that was pretty tough. Gotta wait for Andrew to come up now. He's kind of quite a way behind.
Much later.
Hey, number 40. Oh, I'm not going to say that. I'd be lying if I said that was easy. Jeez. That was a real slog up that hill, but we made it a bit later than we would have liked to, but you know. Whew. Bilu-Shan. 3371. Yes.
The next day.
Good morning. It's 5:50 and we're just packing up, ready for day 2. The sun's come up. We're a bit behind schedule, but we're okay. It's a beautiful views over the mountains there. You can see my last barrier before this trip, Central Sharper Mountain over there, and I think we can see a bit of Hehuanshan over there and a few other peaks. It's a lovely morning. So we're currently making our way from camp to Saw Mountain. Sorry, my lens is fogged up. Nothing I can do because it's so damp. But it's really difficult to film right now because it's just Yushan bamboo everywhere and up and down climbing technical, so I'm not going to film this part. Sorry guys.
Quite easy. Handheld holds and footholds.
Yeah. Alright guys, so we made it to Duan Peak. It's quite a lot of up and down this morning. But I think now it's mostly down until we get to the junction, and then we've got to go up to Yangtou, but we don't need to take our bags, so it should be a bit easier. Number 41. 这里没有牌子了。Time for the big descent. 3 kilometers, 1,000 meters. Let's do it. Yes! Whew. I'm never doing that one again. Ah, finished guys. So tired. I'm glad the car's just parked here. Now all I've got to do is wait for Andrew, but I have no idea how long he's going to be. Okay guys, so that was my recent 2-day 1-night trip along the Bilu-Yangtou Traverse trail. I'm doing this roundup while it's fresh in my memory because I only got back late last night. And before I start, I'd just like to apologize for the quality and the lack of good footage for this trip. It was a really difficult trip to film, so apologies for that, but hopefully you got a gist of what the trail would be like if you were to do it. As I said, the trail was 2 days and 1 night. The first day you start off at Dayuling Tunnel. There are 2 entrances to the trail. There's the old one, which is now fenced off because there was a landslide very close to the start a few years ago. But actually that one is pretty easy to walk across and not very dangerous. And there's what's known as a gaorao for the second entrance, which basically takes you up and over the landslide area and then back down onto the forest road. So then once you've done that, you are on the 820 forest road for 8.4 kilometers. So this is kind of mostly flat. There's a few parts where it's been washed out by streams and that, so you have to dip down and climb back up. And there's a couple of cliff areas, but overall that's not too difficult, and that will take you about 4 hours. And then comes the hard part. It's a roughly 1.8 kilometer ascent that takes in 800 meters. So you can imagine how steep it is. And the worst thing is you've got to carry all your stuff and also water, because there are no water sources up on the ridge. So I was packing an extra 5 kilograms up that slope, and let me tell you, it was really tough. But anyway, after a few hours, you get to the top and you're literally 5 minutes away from the summit of Bilu, and another 5 minutes the other way to a campsite if that's where you intend to stay. So that was the end of day 1. Day 2 takes you along a sawtooth ridge for the first few hours, where you're climbing up, then going back down. It's very tough carrying all your gear. There's a lot of trees, bamboo in your face. It's very wet in the morning because of the condensation, and it's pretty tough going. But once you get to Saw Mountain, it gets a bit easier, because then you start to descend towards the camp. I didn't know this before starting out, but there's a new camp that's been built, or a reasonably new camp that's been built just before the other end of the trail and the Bilu-Yangtou junction. And here there's actually water. It's rainwater tanks, so you have to filter it or boil it. But yeah, that's a good secondary source for water if, like us, you kind of running a bit dry towards the end of the second day. But anyway, you go past the camp a little bit, and then there's a fork. One takes you down to the other end of the trail, and the other one takes you to Yangtou Mountain, which is the second peak on this trail. So I got to the fork, dropped all my gear, did a quick scoot out and back to Yangtou, and then carried on down to the end of the trail. And the last part of the trail is also a brutal 3 kilometer descent, taking in 1,000 meters of drop in altitude. So you can imagine that's also pretty steep. It's not as steep as the first day, but it's still pretty steep, and you're also tired after a long second day, so that kind of takes it out of you. And then you get to the end and you're at the Ci'en Tunnel, and you're done. Sounds easy, but let me assure you, it wasn't. Overall rating of difficulty for this trail, out of 5 of all the trails that I've done in Taiwan, and I haven't done that many. I mean, this trip was my 40th and my 41st Bilu. So out of 5, I would rate this as a 4. It was tough for me. So if you're a beginner, it's super tough. You have to be reasonably fit. At the end, you'll notice I said I was waiting for Andrew. Well, I ended up waiting another 2 hours before he'd finished. And by that time, I was getting pretty worried because it was getting dark and there's a cutoff point for exiting the road near the trail. And thankfully, Andrew just made it in time for us to get past the cutoff before the gate closed. But anyway, Andrew didn't complete Bilu-Yangtou because he was having a hard time, and if he'd have gone to Yangtou we would have had to stay another night, and he had work the next day. So he went straight down, I went to Yangtou, and then we both went down together. You'll be happy to know that he survived. And as he didn't go to Yangtou, I think I might Photoshop him into one of my pictures just so that he can say that he went there. No, I'm just kidding. Logistics wise for this trail, you either need your own car or you need to get a ride to the trailheads. We drove to the finishing point, the Ci'en Tunnel, and then we arranged transport with a guy who lives very close. He has his fruit orchard just down the road, and he took us to the start point. It's about a 45 minute drive in his Dayuling, the camel of the mountains. It's a standard price for one journey for up to 7 people. It's $2,000, so if there's a lot of you, it's good value. For me and Andrew, it was a bit more expensive, but we didn't really have any alternative, so we paid the money, and the guy was very friendly and very helpful, and a good service. I'll put his information in the description below. And as I said, the road that we were parked along is the No.8 Cross Island Highway, and there's a gate at Guanyuan that shuts around 5:30 to 6 o'clock. So if you do not make it past that gate, then you're stuck there for the night. And in the morning it opens at 6 a.m. So the earliest you can get to the Ci'en Tunnel is around 6:30 in the morning. The night before the hike, we stayed at the ski lodge, which is the accommodation very close to Hehuan East Peak. It's $1,200 a night, and that includes breakfast and dinner. And it's a pretty good option because it helps you to get acclimatized to the altitude the night before the hike. And from there, it was an hour's drive roughly to the trailhead where we got picked up. So on the first night we camped at the little campsite that's very close to Bilu Mountain, and I just need to give you a reminder in case you haven't too much experience on Taiwan's trails. There are a bunch of critters up in the mountains that will steal your food. So when you go to bed at night, do not leave your food in your pack, outside your tent or anything, because it will be chewed or taken away by these critters. We were attacked by a very cute, very small Taiwan mountain weasel, and he just wasn't scared of us at all. He came the first night to try and get our food while we were unpacking and cooking dinner, and then he came back again in the morning while we were packing up the tents and tried to steal my bread. But after a bit of shouting and chasing, he went away. So you need to be really careful about mountain critters stealing your stuff. And talking about camping, on this trip I used a new tent that I got because one of my old ones had become no longer waterproof. So I wanted a lightweight one, and I thought I'll try a trekking pole one because I never had a trekking pole tent before. So I bought, it's a Chinese brand, it's called Threeful or Sanful, and the one I bought is the Lanshan one-person trekking pole tent, and I was very happy with the size of it. Inside it's so much bigger than my other one-man tent, and it's got a really big vestibule, and it was a nice change to have a bit of room to move around in the tent at night instead of like being in a coffin with my other tent. I don't know how it is under bad weather conditions because we had good weather. It didn't rain at all, so I'm yet to test it in strong wind and heavy rain. But size wise and easy to put up ability were pretty good. So yeah, so far I'd recommend it, but I'll hold my judgment until I have some bad weather. So overall, the 2-day Bilu-Yangtou Traverse trip, it's really nice. There's beautiful views when the weather's good, but it's pretty tough. I've noticed online that a lot of people do it as a 3-day, 2-night trail, and after my experience, I would probably recommend that you do that if you attempt to do it. It's just a lot more relaxed and you don't have to go as far each day, and I think it would just be a better experience because for us, day 2 was very, very long and very, very tiring. But also you can do either mountain, Bilu or Yangtou, as a day attack, and we met quite a few people doing that on both days. And that's it. That's all I've got to say about this trail. It was very enjoyable, but very, very tough. Anyway, if you found this video interesting and informative, then don't forget to give me a like. You can subscribe to the channel, or you can hit the bell for notifications. If you'd like to help support the channel, then there are 3 ways. You can click thanks down below, buy me a coffee over there, or you can join channel memberships and make a small donation every month. And that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video, and happy hiking. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Over and out. It's a fixer-upper.
I think I'll walk the rest of the way.